So, you want to do film? I'm Saphira and I'm still trying to remember where I parked my car. No, in all seriousness though, we're still trying to find a good quiet location to film this series, so if you know any, drop your comments below. Anyway, we'll be talking about the difference between production houses and freelancing. Okay, so of course, you know, the usual stuff, you know, there are a couple of things you need to take note of. Number one is the difference will be finding jobs. Okay, when you're working under a production house, you technically already have a job. So whether or not, it depends on your role, seriously, because if you're an editor, well, no choice. Whatever projects is given to you, you're just there to edit, right? You can't really choose what film or what project you would like to edit. Or usually it depends on what you can do, if it's motion graphics or anything like that. Other than that would be, you know, if you have a producer, it's a different story depending on the production houses as well. Sometimes they make you liaise with clients, sometimes they make you, you know, try to sell your services. So it really depends on the role that you're applying for. But if you just graduated, usually you're an intern, so you're a bit more like everywhere and anywhere. You know, it depends. If you're not an intern and you're hiring for an editor role, then that's a bit, again, like I say, you know, you still can't really choose whatever you want to do. For freelancing, on the other hand, is you get to choose what you want to do. But of course, there's pros and cons to it. You know, if you snooze, you lose. So what I mean by that, common sense, if you don't work hard enough to get some jobs, you don't get the job, you get nothing. You just don't get paid. You know, not to say that it's a bad thing to do right off the bat from, you know, graduating from film school or from any media courses. But my advice would be go for a more stable job, you know, work under someone, and instead of trying your own in the meantime, unless you really have a solid portfolio, my advice would be to really learn from experts as much as I can. I've mentioned this on previous episodes. So, you know, freelancing can be tough because, again, like I said, you really have to know what you're doing, because the more fussy you are, right, in choosing the jobs that you want to do, the more you're not going to get paid, right? The more you're not going to earn. So leave that for later. That's for another episode just on freelancing. But other than that, number two would be handling projects. Okay, so production houses, you work, like again I said, depending on roles. Technically everything is there for you, you know, everyone's just organizing everything. They usually already have a system that they work with, so that means you don't really have to stress out in regards to what you do. You get paid at the end of the month, and etc, and ta-da, finish, right? Or everything's just like, everything's all done for you. But when you are freelancing, you are technically the finance manager, the producer, the director, the videographer, you know, the cinematographer, whatever you want to call it. You're everyone in one person, unless it depends on what sort of project you look for. If you work under platforms sometimes, you know, I don't know, different platforms, there's a lot of platforms out there that I'm not going to mention, but you know, some of them offer you to work with different team members. This one's on the third point, but you know, it depends. Sometimes you're everyone. And you know, in the occasion where I was in, you know, I had to work before in a freelancing role whereby I realized that, oh, you know, you have to be the one selling as well. Like, okay, why should they pick you, like you as a freelancer, over a production house? You know, clients will always do that, right? And I will summarize this a bit later, but in general, you know, when you're handling projects, is very different, because a lot of it would be, you know, you trying to make sure that you're organizing everything from one project to another project, you know, because you're one person, right? So you have to make sure that you know how to handle the timeline. You know, if you decide to take 3 projects at a time, make sure you give it ample of time to edit this one, that one, because, okay, for instance, right, the only reason why it worked for me right off the bat, like I mentioned before, because I have an array of portfolio. You know, during my secondary school days, where I was still in high school, for some of you internationally, you would be more, you know, more accustomed to that term. I usually go out for shoots. You know, I go for video shoots. I do it on my free time. I try to improve my skills, and due to that, I have this background that supported me. So freelancing after, you know, graduating from film school is really good. But my advice is, if you're just graduating, work production houses is the better choice for you. And yeah, so basically, like I was mentioning about freelancing, handling of timeline. So what I mean by handling of timeline, right? So handling of projects for freelancers, let's say you decide to pick 3 clients, you got to make sure that, you know, there's a bit of common sense for some of you, but it's just a good reminder for some of us out there, is you will know how to, you know, spread the workload. So let's say if you have a shoot today, make sure it doesn't clash with the other shoot, and the timelines, the deadlines for each project is not, you know, like I said, I use the word again, not clashing. This is very important because we get so engrossed in getting more and more clients. Sometimes we get too like involved in wanting to grow and get more money in the process of doing that. You sometimes can get, you know, overboard with picking up clients, which you have to be careful. And of course, you know, third and foremost on top of that, you know, I didn't mention much about production houses because it's straightforward. Like I mentioned, handling of projects is usually then, you know, everything is there for you. You know, if you're really up there already, because this is for someone who is a bit more experienced in the industry, 10 years, 15 years, whatever, then you get to choose whatever you want to do in the production house. But other than that, the third point would be it's environmentally different. What I mean by environmentally different, because when you're freelancing, some of you may be working from home, some of you may have a co-working desk space. It depends on what you're comfortable with, but majority of us is working from home because you don't really need an office, right? You're just working by yourself. I began with working at home. I have a little setup, just a little iMac there, or you know what, back in those days when I just started off from film school, I really worked with just a laptop, MacBook Pro 15-inch, and a camera, right? And it was really 700D Canon. Well, it's not so bad, but hey, it's a good start, right? Just taking events and stuff like that. So it's very different. What I mean by very different is you work alone, right? In production houses, you'll be working with people, and usually the case, people who will be your good friends in the future, because you will need to be, you know, like, you will need to be able to speak to these people, to communicate your ideas, because they're your team. So you have to make sure that it's someone you can work with, and that's one thing you have to understand, because in freelancing, sometimes, you know, you just don't want to be able to, you will have to be able to work with a lot of people around you. Alright, so to summarize the whole video, there's 3 points. You know, briefly I was talking about finding jobs, you know, handling of projects, and of course it's environmentally different. You know, this is a brief overview about everything. Of course, there's a lot more to talk about. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to drop any of your questions in the comments below, or even email to me, which is at director@electusfilms.co. Or you can just head down to the website. There's an inquiry box there at SYWDF.com. And on top of that, everything's pretty simple. You know, you just have to wait for the next episode next week. And I'll be doing a couple of interesting videos. You can check now, it's on IGTV. It's more of a rant video. I'll be talking a bit more real about what's going on currently in the state of, you know, the industry, of people that I've met as of lately, talking about the difference between their industry and our industry, the creative industry to be more specific. So yeah, pretty much it. So wait for the next episode. It'll be about filming for beginners. I'll be talking about a lot of the equipment that you can use, and as well as, you know, coming up with creative content and how, you know, you can approach it. So yeah, stay tuned and we'll see you next Sunday.